To break the silence, I decided to share a story of my own, hoping to cinch that tenuous thread a little tighter. Once, in a small village nestled between mist-cloaked mountains, I found myself stranded. Elise perked up, curiosity dancing in those green eyes of hers. It was one of those serendipitous misadventures, I continued. The bus broke down, and as luck would have it, the next one wouldn't arrive for another 3 days. I thought I'd have to abandon my plans, but as it turns out, that village had its own kind of magic. Go on, Elise urged, leaning against the gnarled bark of the oak tree. Well, the villagers took me in as though I had always been part of their world. The elder, a woman with a face like creased parchment, introduced me to their traditions, their stories. Each night we'd gather around a bonfire. They'd share tales of mountains that breathed, rivers that sang songs of old heroes. One night, it was my turn to offer a story. I talked about my city life, the concrete maze that felt more suffocating than liberating. I shared my yearning for something more authentic, something that felt true. To my surprise, they listened with the same reverence I had given their stories. By the time the next bus came, I'd been invited to a wedding, taught how to milk a goat, and learned the secret of their legendary stew. When I finally left, I realized that maybe the connections we forge during these unexpected stops are the reason we journey at all. For a moment, Elise was silent, her eyes reflecting the amber hue of the sunset. I think you're right, she said finally. Sometimes it takes getting lost to truly find where you belong. And there, in the waning daylight under the ancient oak, two wandering souls found an unexpected kinship. The road ahead seemed less daunting, the paths more intertwined. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, we both felt we were heading in the right direction. Elise smiled, and her lips curled into a knowing, almost wistful smile. She nodded, as if a certain clarity, or rather an old truth, had just settled into her mind. She began to talk, her voice soft and rhythmic against the backdrop of rustling leaves and birdsong. I had an experience like that once, she began, her gaze distant as if she were looking through the fabric of time. I ended up in a coastal village when my train tickets got mixed up. It was a place not on any tourist map, a hidden haven with the scent of the sea and salt in the air. The people there seemed to have ocean water running in their veins. Their lives were dictated by the rhythm of the tides. Intrigued, I leaned in closer, our conversation now a shared tapestry of unplanned adventures. And did you find your own kind of magic there, too? Elise nodded, a dreamy glow in her eyes. Yes, I did. They had this festival where they celebrated the sea and all the gifts it brought them. They played music that seemed to be composed by the waves themselves. One night during the festival, an old fisherman taught me how to navigate by the stars. That night, I felt an undeniable connection to that village and its people, like I had found a piece of myself that had been missing. Elise's story resonated deeply within me. We both had stumbled upon places and people who'd left indelible imprints on our hearts. It's strange how losing your way can sometimes lead you to the right place, isn't it? I remarked. Strange but beautiful, Elise agreed. Here's to more unexpected journeys, she added, raising an imaginary glass. We laughed, the camaraderie between us deepening. As the last light dipped below the horizon, we knew this was just the beginning of our shared adventures. With newfound resolve and a promise of endless stories, we embraced the uncertainty of the road ahead, confident that we would never truly be lost as long as we had each other.